Call to order for planning and zoning meeting for the town of Basalt on Tuesday, September 21st at 6:06. First order of business is approval of minutes.
We have to do the roll call first.
Sorry, roll call. Sorry.
Okay, so we'll do roll call. Bill Marin.
Yo.
Kyle Overketter is absent. He let me know that he was traveling. Gino Rossetti.
Roll call. Roll call. You here?
Here.
Are you here?
Eric Volzik.
Yes.
Michelle Tebow, she had emailed me that she was also traveling. Rob Levitt is absent. Cindy Hirschfeld.
Here.
So we have a quorum. Cindy is acting as the alternate, but she'll be able to fully participate and vote at this meeting.
Great. Thanks, Susan. First order of business then after the call to order, approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes to approve from July 20th and August 3rd. Are there any comments or changes? If not, a motion. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make approval of
Both or one at a time?
one at a time, or both of them, I guess.
Okay. Speak closer to the mic.
I would make a motion to approve both of them.
So we have a first, Bill second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries. Excellent. First order of business is Eagle County referral for a special use permit application referral comments. And Sarah, will you be leading us in the discussion?
Before we,
Thank you.
Sarah,
Before we
before
s-
we do that, oh,
Mhm.
and
before
I
we
know,
start, I'd like to state that my oldest daughter used to work for Jerome Ostenkowski, but no longer does.
And I also worked previously in a very small capacity with Stephanie through the Basalt Middle School.
and so before you start, Sarah, I just want to make sure that our applicant was on.
Yes, our applicant's rep is on the line. Ward Carrot has raised her hand. So she is on. Fantastic. So yes, as you introduce this item, this is a draft of referral comments that were created in response to a request for comments from Eagle County. And this is regarding a special use review at 1919 and 2101 Cedar Drive. The owner is Jerome Ostenkowski. And as I mentioned, his representative is Maya Ward Carrot of Earthbound Architecture, and she will be able to speak with you tonight as well. You're probably pretty familiar with where the site is, and so this is outside of the town's urban growth boundary, but it is within the 3-mile planning area, and it is located off of Cedar Drive. The applicant is proposing to add 2 home occupations to the site, which includes Jerome's Organics and Ecosystem Designs, as well as a resort recreational facility for the Central Rocky Mountain Permaculture Institute, or CRIMPI, which exists there today. And so staff has drafted the letter in response to the referral comment request for P&Z's consideration. And P&Z, you can choose to accept the draft letter as staff has written. You can make amendments to the draft letter, or choose to not send the comments to Eagle County. The deadline for the referral letter has to be submitted to Eagle County by tomorrow. So I'm going to go through and summarize the points outlined in staff's draft letter. And as you've noted, there has been a couple of changes that are fairly minor to the draft letter, and I will cover those as we go through this. So I thought that I would kind of go through and outline or summarize the draft referral comments, and then the representative is here to, she may want to speak to those comments, and also she's here to answer any questions that you may have. So to kind of get moving on here, the first draft comment refers to permaculture being used that is compatible with the rural landscape of surrounding Basalt and supports the town's environmental identity. And the scale of the proposed development does not imply urban or suburban level of development, which would really need to be moved into the town's urban growth boundary. But that being said, the town does believe that the camping use proposed and the educational components should be appropriately managed so as not to negatively impact the neighboring properties or the town's infrastructures. Referral comment 2, staff wrote this referral comment prior to a conversation with the applicant's representative, and this was regarding the mitigation for trees to be removed as a result of the ADU on the site. And so we've since discovered that that cabin that's proposed to be used as an ADU long-term has actually been constructed, and that the trees were cleared due to fire mitigation. So we have had a conversation with Brooke Stott, the assistant fire marshal, and she is content to leave the fire mitigation requirements to the wildfire mitigation manager with Eagle County. And so staff is actually recommending that that be deleted from the letter. So number 3 is regarding the parking plan and its potential impacts on the town's right-of-way. So the applicant is proposing to have students park off-site and shuttle them via van to the site for classes. And the applicant shows within their application that they've received approval for this year for students to leave their personal vehicles at Basalt Elementary for the months of May through July, and sustainable settings in Carbondale for August and September, but there's no mention of any plan for October of this year. So the item recommends that Eagle County implement a yearly review of the applicant's parking plan and to solicit comments from the town prior to the start of classes each year to ensure that a model is in place that legally accommodates all of the students' vehicles for that year. And it also proposed that Pickens County be consulted and to ensure that the county's permit requirements are satisfied should the parking plan be continued at sustainable settings. So everyone's informed. The 4th item is the town recommends the applicant consult with a fire district to verify that the pond that's proposed for fire mitigation purposes is adequately sized and that the emergency equipment can easily access the water. And number 5, James, I'm going to have you, if you don't mind, flip ahead a couple of slides. And this is concerning access to the site. So this is one of those ones you'll see that we've changed after a conversation with Brooke Stott regarding the site and her conversations with the applicant team and the applicant. We have changed our conditions. We are still concerned with access to the site, of course, but we have changed it so that it was recommended initially that both access points to the site be improved to the minimum width by the fire department, and the roads to and through the site be evaluated to ensure adequate width and turning radius for emergency vehicles. And we have actually, after our conversation with Brooke, it was really recommended that Upper Cedar Drive be that access point to the site, and that's the one we should focus the improvements on to meet the minimum width by the fire department. So we really want to focus everyone to the Upper Cedar Drive and really leave the Lower Cedar Drive, which isn't quite as
I think everybody knows
improved.
that Cedar Drive has some significant access challenges, and particularly the lower. And so where Brooke was is let's work on getting everyone to use the upper Cedar Drive and not the lower Cedar Drive, and therefore, you don't need the improvements to the lower Cedar Drive.
Right.
And the other change is we're not asking for emergency access through the site. So what Brooke Stott has been doing in terms of the fire department is that you'll access the site from Upper Cedar Drive, and there's a parking area and an emergency turnaround that you'll access, and then to get to the rest of the site, you'll have to walk.
And so that leads into the next point, and that's number 6. And that recommends that Eagle County require the applicant to meet the fire department's requirements in the area of the driveway that's labeled the emergency turnaround. Actually, if you want to go back to where you just were, James, I was just going to pinpoint that on, so it kind of comes down here, and there's an emergency turnaround area right here. Item number 7 is recommending that a drainage report be prepared to address the development's ability to maintain the historical drainage patterns and really show how water quality will be incorporated into the design prior to its release as stormwater. Item 8 is requiring a study to establish a baseline for traffic generated as a result of the existing uses and having a professional engineer complete a trip generation report to compare the existing versus the proposed conditions, and then to quantify those number of trips generated by the proposed uses on the site. The report should also address the sufficiency of the road's infrastructure in light of the proposed uses. Number 9, the town recommends that Eagle County require wayfinding signage for the proposed uses in order to direct users to the site using the Upper Cedar Drive road. And lastly, the 10th and final point, and this is another one that was changed. So James, if you want to flip back to that last slide I have in the PowerPoint. This was really a result of some conversations with the Trails Group, as well as just for clarification.
I think also the applicant was a little concerned that we were directing access through the site, and so we were just clarifying that it's the main roads.
Yeah, it's really about keeping that road as available for use for the public to access the trails.
But not really private access through the site.
Exactly. So, with that, that's the last of the conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions that the P&Z may have, or you may want to hear from the applicant's representative at this point.
And maybe you could talk about the classes that they are holding up at the site. That was maybe something that the P&Z might not understand. Just that Crimpy's holding classes, and that was one of the concerns of Eagle County about holding classes up there, and that's the reason for the remote parking.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't quite sure exactly where, because I was like, I don't really have a lot of information about the classes themselves, but, the applicant's rep can give you more information about how many folks that they've had attending these classes, and, probably some kind of lay it out what this looks like. I do know that the applicant has purchased a van that he's looking to use as a shuttle to keep people from, keep the trips down and keep people from traveling to the site with their single occupancy vehicle.
So, Maya, can you hear us here?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you
Perfect.
really well, actually. That's the best that we have the TV experts here to help us with our Zoom, so that was great.
Excellent. Well, my name is Maya Ward-Carrot, and as Sarah said, I'm with Earthbound Architecture. I'm helping Jerome with this application. And my background, while I'm a licensed architect, I worked for the last 6 years with a firm that did both planning, zoning, and architecture. So I have a bit of experience in this realm, and I'm hoping that I can answer your questions and address any concerns you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
I just have a couple questions on the letter. I don't know if we're taking those now or, okay. One is, I'm just curious, what are the trails up there that we're
It's
providing
really the
access
road.
to?
So it's really the Cedar Drive, the Upper Cedar Drive and the Lower Cedar Drive. And Lower Cedar Drive goes by many different names, that's why we put it in parentheses. So it is also known as Basalt Mountain Road and Stagecoach Road. And that's a trail that the Mid-Valley Trails Committee has been working on for a number of years. So it's the main loop. Do you want to just kind of do the
So
PowerPoint?
it's for walking on the road. It's not like there's some other trail network
No,
out there.
that's what we're kind of saying.
Okay.
It's those roads, and that's, I think, one of the clarifications that Maya was looking for, is we weren't talking about providing public access through, the road's kind of going through Jerome's property, but we're not talking about the fire access and how the students are going. We're not talking about making that public access.
Okay. And then the second question I had pertained to number 8. I know that, developers are often asked to have a traffic study in an engineering firm, but is it something, I'm just wondering, is it something that we usually ask of individuals, and is it prohibitively expensive to do that?
Well, I don't think we were looking for a really involved traffic study. We were talking about, does it help if we change the language from, we had an engineer, a professional, and actually, Sarah, I think you might have given me a earlier version. We took out the word professional, just a professional engineer, not a traffic engineer. And I think what we were looking for is someone that's independent, that could do the existing counts and could be a baseline. Because what we're concerned about is not only Jerome's property, but there's other interest in kind of other commercial uses up there. So we thought that we needed it'd be really helpful to have a baseline report. And then maybe it doesn't need to be like a traffic engineer, but it needs to be some kind of independent, and maybe that's a word that might be acceptable.
Do you mind if I respond to that?
Please.
So just to clarify, we've been working very closely with Julie, I believe her last name is Prager, in the Eagle County Engineering Department. And she has gone back and forth with us on the numbers that we've provided. So she's sort of been our professional in that realm. And she has approved all of the numbers that we have put forward in this application. And I'd also like to mention that there was a variance request for all of Cedar Drive, both lower and upper, but not Basalt Mountain Drive. So not where it branches to the right, but from lower up to the upper drive, which was done by Sopris Engineering. And that provides kind of the baseline that you're looking for, in that they talk about what the road can be used for and how many average daily trips are permitted per lot. The average daily trips that are listed for this lot are 9.57 per single family home, and our proposed use is held well below that number, in keeping with the original engineering report for that road.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to make sure we weren't putting an onerous requirement on an individual to have to provide their own report at great expense. So all sounds good.
Good, Cindy?
Mhm.
Gino, any questions?
No.
Bill?
I have a couple questions. First off, I know that the right-of-way of the road was in dispute for quite some time. I don't know if that's ever been resolved. Has that?
My understanding is that Eagle County is taking the position, the Trail Committee is working on the right-of-way issues on that, and I think the county's taken the position, at least on Upper Cedar Drive, that it's a county road. They couldn't have spent the money that they did on the road. But the nuances of all that, Bill, I don't know the answer.
It's still, so it's still moving around, who actually owns the
Potentially,
right-of-way. Okay, and second,
I believe a lot of that was resolved in that variance request, from what I have read, in that it's the Cedar Drive Road Association that's required to do maintenance, but they have to keep it open for public access.
okay, thank you very much. My other question is of the proposed work up there, what is complete and what is proposed?
I think Maya could probably speak to that as well, because I believe that the ADU is fairly complete, and it's more of a change in use than an actual build, which was a little bit confusing in the application. But Maya, can you speak to that for us?
Yeah, I can absolutely speak to that. And just for a little bit of a background on this, we've gone through several planners with Eagle County. I know they've gone through a lot of changeover. And most recently, our project was assigned to a consultant. And so he's just jumped in over the past few weeks, and the letter that he sent out may not have sort of fully reflected the history and what we're proposing. But as you know, Jerome's been sort of operating this institute for about 30 years, and only recently was it sort of brought to Eagle County's attention as not being in full conformity with the rules without requesting a special use permit. And that's what started this process. So almost everything you see in the application is either existing or sort of the go-to of how it's been developed. The only changes that we're proposing are to the use of the accessory building, which is the cabin that we'd like to make an ADU. That's currently just an accessory residential building. It is not zoned as an ADU. So we're requesting permission to use it as a long-term ADU. The other major change is the walking path previously went off of Jerome's property for a short distance at the south end of the, sort of where it hits the boundary on the south side. And this is more visible in the engineering drawings if you want to flip to that, because he's sort of marked out what is new and what is not. So we are reorienting, it's a few more pages down, probably page, yeah, there we go. So if you look at the bottom there, on the south end of the property where the walking path sort of does a little S shape, that's a new addition, as well as other improvements to that walking path that we've worked with Brooke and the fire department to establish it as a path that could be used for emergency access, including carrying a stretcher as needed. The other addition is the campsites have never been formalized before. So we are proposing to formalize the campsites in that they'll be in these clusters, and there'll be a fire extinguisher at each cluster to ensure safety of people staying there. And I believe those are the only major changes to the existing conditions on the property.
Thank you, Maya. I don't have any questions at this time. Public hearing or
You know, there's no public, it's not a public hearing.
referral, right?
Just to kind of note that we haven't had anyone else, but Maya, James, you don't have anybody that's indicating that they would like to join, right? So I think we're okay.
Do you mind if I ask or address one or two more items?
Please.
So item number 7, the drainage request for a drainage report. That is quite an onerous request in terms of what that really entails to get an official drainage report. And in here you say that, you know, we'd like to make sure that we maintain the historic drainage patterns. As I previously stated, Jerome's been operating essentially what we're proposing in this application for the last 30 years. And we're not proposing any changes to the existing drainage patterns in that they have been successful to date. And Jerome has actually received almost $100,000 worth of core grants for water use and monitoring, and his property is being looked at as a model for other properties. We speak about that on page 29 of our application. There's also information about the drainage on page 25 and 26. So on behalf of Jerome, I would like to request that we either reword this request or strike it in terms of an official engineering drainage report would be quite onerous and might sort of put a hard stop on this application as a whole.
Would you be opposed to providing the results or reports that you've done with the grant work that you've gotten?
No, not at all. We could certainly dig into that information. I'm not very familiar with exactly what that all entails, but I know that, you know, he's applied for multiple grants over the past 10 years or so and received grant funding, specifically looking at irrigation and water.
Maybe you could just change that drainage report shall be submitted to Eagle County that addresses the development's ability to maintain, and just put it that way.
And it might not be called a drainage report is maybe one caution, so maybe we should, I don't know if there's any conversation to be had with CORE as to what there might be just some other wording is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would second that in that
The
the
study
term drainage
submitted to-
report.
What?
The term drainage report really implies that it would be an engineering report, and those can cost, you know, tens of thousands of dollars.
So the report submitted to
or study, or,
The reports would be better. The report
Yeah.
submitted to,
Core, C-O-R-E.
okay,
yep,
okay. All right.
Any other points, Maya?
Yeah, the other thing I just wanted to clarify in item number 3, I believe in the updated version, you removed the concern about September because we do have a letter covering through September. The reason that there's no parking letter about October is that historically, Jerome has never held classes in October. But seeing as this application is establishing how he can operate moving forward, we wanted to sort of broaden it through October to include that. And that is why the parking letter is referenced, their willingness to work with us in the future. And we have no objection to having a yearly review if that's required by Eagle County.
So the language works for you then?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I would
Let
just
me-
point out that we do have coverage through September. It's just October that was in question.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions before we open for comments? Comments, we'll go the opposite way. Bill?
I'm pretty familiar with Jerome's operations, and I think that this is a valid thing to do, and I recommend that we accept the recommendations as drafted with the changes discussed.
Gino, any comments?
Second.
Cindy, any comments before we move on? I don't have any comments then, so
may I ask for a clarifying question before
Yes.
before there's a vote?
I think we've got it, Sarah, but go ahead.
but go ahead, yeah.
Okay, because I thought that, so, would your recommendation include number 8, or would number 8 be modified, in light of Maya's comments
No,
regarding?
we were good with that.
Okay, I would guess I misunderstood.
Bill, you had started to propose. Do you want to make a motion and clarify these last comments?
That's what I was trying to imply. But
Yeah.
yes, I would like to make a motion accepting the letter and the recommendations with especially the modifications discussed on item number 7.
And just clarifying also that it didn't have to be a professional traffic engineer, just a professional.
Yes.
Doing, okay.
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Gino, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Or
Okay.
the referral letter carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you very much. Take care.
Next item up is staff updates.
Yes, in terms of staff updates, one thing is that we had interviews for the P&Z at the last council meeting, and the town council is going to have the reappointments again on this appointment. So it looked totally like those were going to go through, and so that meant Eric, Rob, and Rob Levitt would be reappointed, and Gino would be reappointed, and then Cindy Hirschfeld would be given the regular P&Z appointment. Bernie has decided not to reapply for another term. So we've been working on building permits. I think that's our biggest projects right now are, we're finishing up on the pool. The pool closed on Sunday, and so there's some finish work that is happening. James, do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, there is some mechanical work that they're finishing up to make sure all the systems are working correctly. We kind of did some Band-Aids to get it open when we did. There's also some cosmetic stuff, like the floors in the locker rooms are being redone. We kind of put that off till the pool closed, so we didn't impact the pool operations. Those are kind of the two biggest items that are happening. There's some more sunshades that are going on that we couldn't get to before we needed to open the pool. So, kind of finishing up those and trying to close out the project there.
So everybody seems to be really pleased with the improvements, so I think a lot of success there. You can look across the street and see all the activities. I think we have like 4 projects simultaneously going on. So the restaurant is being constructed. You can see that well under its way. There's a water line project that's being funded by the applicant that's going from Millen Avenue Bridge diagonally over to like the restaurant area. So that's the biggest amount of dirt and excavation that's been going on. Then we have the Two Rivers Road project that goes from RMI to the intersection. And that's kind of, if you remember, the town made kind of a funding deal with that project that IND, the Basalt River Park developer, pays for $600,000 and the town's paying for the rest of that. The town also is underway with the construction of Phase 1 of the park. So that's going well. They've been starting to pour the concrete portions of that project. And then we're in the final stages of issuing the building permits for 5 of the townhomes that are Water's Edge. Those are the ones facing the park. So they'll be under construction, and the building permit for Park Place, which is the first it's a 3-unit building that's closest to the RMI Trail. That will be, it's in for active building permit review. Now, we talked to the developer yesterday, and they feel they're gonna submit the building permits for what they're calling the gallery building. That was the known as the Makerspace building, and the affordable housing units and other residential units this year. We'll see if that's the case, because they're expecting to get through the review and pay their fees for that. So that's a lot of activity on the Basalt River Park. Stotts Mill has 3 buildings. Of the 4 multifamily buildings are in for building permit, and so they're going through the system, and I think you probably see the construction that's going on with the warehouse building in the south side, so that's well underway.
Is that the one that seemingly went up overnight?
Yeah, because it's a
I looked up
prefab.
one day and thought, where did that come from?
Prefab, yeah, because those prefab buildings can go up really fast.
Is that another storage like the one
It's
next
just
to
like
it?
the other one. It's pretty much the same thing. And then after that one, they'll have 2 more buildings as part of that development.
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
there'll be 2 more. And what we're not, James doesn't think we'll see the 3rd one for another year being submitted. And then,
With that, Susan, hammering at 7 in the morning, every morning, Saturday included, is that?
so you can hammer after 7. You can't have any backup alarms until after 8. And if it's Sunday, we've had some Sunday complaints with construction. So if you hear them, the best thing to do is, like it's a Sunday, call dispatch and ask for a Basalt officer and tell them that someone's constructing. And that number is 970-920-5310. But anyway, we have had some complaints about constructing on Sunday.
I haven't heard Sunday, but
Yeah, after 7 a.m., you can have hammering, but you can't have backup alarms. And then the town's also been working on the Lot 4, which is over there by the Mid-Valley Center, and we're doing the intersection improvement, so that work is started, and the planning department's involved with that. And you see the bank under construction in Willits. And the town council's had now a couple meetings. You've read probably in the paper where we are on BCC, the building across the way, and then also the 155 units in Park Modern, and those are both, again, in front of the town council on Tuesday. What am I missing, James? Oh, next meeting is Lot J, which is the final review of Lot J. That's the 12-unit apartment building at the end of Emma Road. What am I missing?
I think we wanted to ask P&Z about potential for a site visit on Lot J at 5 o'clock I think is what we were talking about on October 5th.
Yeah.
And see if people have availability for that, generally.
Unless things change on my end, I'm around.
Okay.
October 5th for a site visit, Gino? At 5 o'clock before our meeting?
No, yeah, I'll be here the week, I'll be here on the 2nd of October through the rest of the week.
Okay.
Is that when you're looking at the meeting?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Are you gonna change it from Tuesday to Thursday?
No, Tuesday.
That's fine.
Okay, all right. Anything else we should report on? What? Paving? Oh, do you want to get the pave? We're doing a lot of paving projects and, you know, on East Valley Road, in the Willits area and Willits Town Center, and you've seen a lot of striping.
And we're doing the water line replacement over on Swinging Bridge. They're about done with that. They're getting close.
So we've been heavy into budget, and trying to anticipate what building permits that we're going to be seeing, et cetera, for 2022. Anything else, Sarah, James?
I'm not sure we could fit anything else.
Commissioner comments? Questions? Is the leaf pickup finalizing?
We're expecting the proposal from Evergreen, and we haven't got it yet. But when I talked to Dave, it's basically the same program that we had before. We were gonna try to do an extra limb, you know, we were gonna see if we could kind of afford an additional kind of vegetation limb. That was really popular when we had our recycle day, how much stuff people brought in. So we were thinking of, you know, there's a limit on, how many times did you go through, Cindy?
Oh, like a dozen, probably.
Well, we could tell you, we could let you, we'd give you a heads up on this one, so you
Okay.
could, yeah, even more, so we're working on that.
Okay.
And then we're still planning, Eagle County's and the town of Basalt are gonna participate in the recycle day again next year, and we thought we'd do it a little earlier, right after school closes, because it really worked well to have it at the high school. That was really cool.
Are you talking about like an electronics recycle day?
Uh-huh.
That would be great if you changed it, because the last couple times you've done it, I've been on family reunions and stuff, and I've missed it. And I've got a big pile of stuff.
We had several people that did loops on electronics too.
Eric, I made a mistake. I won't be here on the 5th. I come back on the 6th.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Gino.
Good to know. If no other comments or questions, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Cindy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right.
And it is
6:40.
6:45.
Wow.
When's the last time that happened?
Take it while you can get it, and we're gonna be, you know, our town council meeting went.